getting hit multiple times coming out of that bike section. More drivers coming to blows.
Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning. Welcome to Slow Motion Broadcasting for the American Muscle Series, live on this beautiful Tuesday evening here on YouTube. And thank you to our sponsors, Chiba Hut, Toasted Subs, and D-Nut Stuff for sponsoring tonight's broadcast. My name is Adam Thomsen, and joining me here in the broadcast booth is going to be the one and only Ron Burgundy, and later on, Champ Kind. Tonight, we are at the Naval Base Coronado Naval Base in San Diego, California. And this should be a great race with these Ford Mustangs going around what is a 3.3-mile racetrack full of bumps. And, of course, very, very close wall contact throughout this one. Not a lot of room for error. And this is going to be one of those races which will be a race of attrition. Going to be about keeping the car clean and pointed forward. But tonight's change from last week, well, it's 40 minutes with a pit stop this time. The AMS admins being quite kind to the drivers tonight. And they will be able to get a pit stop for those tires. I'm going to bring in our producer who is going to fill in on the comms here until Champ Kind returns here in the broadcast. Ron Burgundy. Ron, it has just been a great couple of weeks of racing, but tonight I think we head to the hardest circuit to drive during this season.
Yeah, it's definitely a bit of an unknown quantity here at Naval Base Coronado, Naval Bumps Coronado, as some would probably say. Right outside of San Diego, it's a newish track in real life. It's the newest track here in the sim, and it's one that these drivers have tried to learn the ropes of over this practice session, really just the past week since we left Mid-Ohio last time out. So, Adam, I'm really looking forward to seeing what these drivers may have in store here in this race. It's a little bit hard to think about this, but after this race, we are already going to be officially a quarter of the way through this American Muscle Series season, so there's definitely a lot riding on this race. These drivers looking for a good result.
Yes, they are, and let's take a look at the championship standings, starting with the pro class. Taylor Ballant, 146 points, and currently 5 points ahead of Neil Kemp. Luis Henriquez, 132 points, makes up the top three. David Moore sits in the fourth spot with 121 points. Cam Porter, 115 points. Jeff Schnackle, as we get that corrected, is tied with Brandon Renfro at 111 points. Chuck Labano, Andrew Bellin tied at 100 points. Jay Bass, David French, David Fernandez, Ron Wolf, and Matt Thomsen make out the rest of the pro class. Now over to the championship standings of the Challenger division. Michael Brennan up on top, 141.5 points, but guess who is right there behind him by 4 points? Mark Cohn had a great week last week at Mid-Ohio. Charles Hosea, and I should mention, Mark Cohn is one of the sponsors with the Joy of Driving. Charles Hosey, currently 128 points. Joe Cicchetti, 110 points, sitting in fourth, making out the top five. Jeff Andrus with Dave Jensen, Josh Wilkie, who is unfortunately not here tonight, Andy Bell, Laura Wiseman, Mike Nickham, Brendan Smith, Zachary Miller, Matthew Guzenda, Dale Jackson, Edgar Cincinelli, Levi Powell, Brian Kennedy, Mark Royce. I think we still got a few more here. Freddie Weaver in the 19th spot. And then, is that it there, Ron?
That right there is it. So 19
awesome
drivers in a very competitive Challenger class, it must be said.
Yes, very much so. Now let's head over to the amateur class. After Andy Kosick had a big win in the amateur class, he sees himself in third, but Brandon Carl right now, 130 points, but 2 points ahead of Tom Wendt. Andy Kosick, great run last week, getting his very first win in the amateur class with 126 points. Jeff Besnard, 111, and he is 1 point ahead of Paul Catleon and John Casey. Colin Olson, Meryl Eichmann, and Scott Brooks make out the rest of the AM class. Now, on to the storylines tonight. Ron, well, Matt Malone has decided to take a night off with the eNASCAR crew as they are off this week, and decided that, hey, I want to go drive a Ford Mustang around Naval Base Coronado here tonight, and he currently sits fourth fastest with a 2:23.417. Luis Henriquez, your fast time right now, with a 2:22.492, according to our live timing. Taylor Ballant, very quick as well, a 2:22.694. Jeff Schenkel, right now with a 2:22.891. Schnackle, Again, as mentioned before, Matt Malone sits fourth right now with David Moore in fifth, Andrew Bellin in sixth, Neil Kemp in seventh, and Chuck Labano in eighth. Andy Bell makes up the top 9, and that's pro drivers at least. Leading the way in the Challenger division and just getting into the top 10, Joe Cicchetti with a time of a 2:24.594. Mark Cohn right now sitting second amongst the Challenger division with a 2:25.049. There's the Joy of Driving livery. So, pardon me?
Yeah, I was just
Andy
gonna say
Bell
that,
is the challenger.
Andy Bell there. Unfortunately, our graphics just obscuring it a little bit, so an optical illusion going on there. But Andy Bell certainly showing some pro speed here. I got my tongue wrapped around my mustache there a couple of times. But Andy Bell, currently qualified in 9th there, top of those challenger drivers, showing some pro speed as it stands right now as Marcone as his way towards a stripe there in that car after a good performance last time at Mid-Ohio, looking to do well in the race that he is a sponsor of, and got to jump in front of Bell there to grab the class pole.
What a lap there by Mark Cohn to grab the class pole as Andrew Bellin now moves up into 4th, bumping Matt Malone to 5th here. And Jeff Shackle, excuse me. I'm going to struggle with that because I've called him by the other name for the last 2 weeks. So we're going to try and make this work. But Schnackle, right now, 3rd fastest amongst the pro drivers and overall. So this is going to be a very, very interesting race, I think. Looking at the amateur class, well, Andy Kosick right now is leading in the amateurs, sitting 21st overall, a lap time of a 2:26.545. Talking with Andy Kosick earlier in the day, he said he is not going to be feeling comfortable tonight on this racetrack, and you can see exactly why. If we could go ahead and get an onboard shot of whoever is out there here, Ron, just so we can see the bumps and how close and tight-knit these walls are in certain places. Now, there are some places that are a little bit wider and are a little bit more forgiving, but a lot of these corners, they're very tight. There's walls everywhere. We actually, during practice, we saw people just absolutely eat the wall and destroy their Ford Mustang, having to get a rebuild. So we will have to see what is going to happen. Ron, as I mentioned in the pre-race, it is going to be a race of attrition. It's going to be about really who does a great job of managing their pace and avoiding any sort of damage, because this is the kind of racetrack, you get any damage, it's going to really, really hurt you in the long run.
Yeah, that it absolutely will. We do have those pit stops here, so if you do have to come down pit lane to repair the damage, it's not going to sting as badly as it did last time out of Mid-Ohio, but it is still going to be far from a bed of roses for these drivers either way. So, around this track, there is no stone that is going to be unturned by the time we get to the end of this race. I gotta say, a very stacked field as well. Lots of competitors showing up here, seeing 35 drivers setting a qualifying time. John Casey not out there on the racetrack, actually the final driver there in quali, but a massive field of cars here for this round of the championship, and I'm looking forward to it, man. I think this is going to be super competitive. It's gonna be nice, and of course, with the wonderful Whiplash sim cams that we have here on Slow Motion Broadcasting, any mistake out there on the racetrack is going to remain punished, and we're going to see it every single time. So adds a little extra incentive for these drivers to try and keep it clean.
Well, let's take a look at our starting lineup for this 16-turn, 3.3-mile racetrack here tonight. On the front row, Luis Henriquez and Taylor Ballant. And then Jeff Schnackle and Andrew Bellin make up row 2. Row 3, David Moore, Matt Malone. In row number 3, row 4, Neil Kemp and Chuck Labano. Row 5, Andy Bell leading the Challenger division with Mark Cohn right next to him. And Joe Cicchetti makes up 11th, and in 12th, Cam Porter. Row number 7 is going to be Charlie Hosey and David Finch. And then in row number 8, Brandon Smith and Jeff Andrus. Brian Kennedy, Mike Nickum make up row 9. Row 10, Matt Thomsen and Zach Miller. Row 11, Andy Kosick, the first one of the amateur class. And then Michael Brennan leading the championship in the Challenger division. Row number 12, Freddie Weaver, Matthew Guzenda. And then row number 13, Colin Olson, Brandon Carl. Edgar Santinelli and Tom Wendt make up row number 14. Row 15, David Jansen and Jay Bast. Row 16, Jeff Vesnard, Scott Brooks, Aaron Bray, Merle Eichmann will make up row number 17. And our final starter, John Casey. 35 drivers, 40 minutes, 1 pit stop here. So I got through that quick enough here. Now let's take a look at where these cars are starting. Never mind, we are green here at the American Muscle Series here at Qualcomm circuit at the Naval Base Coronado as we go side by side through turn number 1. And that is the first challenge for these drivers. Now it's going down the hill to turn number 2 where these cars can catch some air. And down through turn number 2, Henriquez holding on to the race lead so far, but side by side, Taylor Ballant, Jeff Schnackle, and Schnackle right now going down the inside, and whoa, Paul, that is some big contact there into the wall for Taylor Ballant, and Schnackle will go ahead and take that second spot. Definitely going to have maybe a little bit of damage, maybe some wheel damage as well there for Taylor Ballant, some minor wheel damage. Andrew Bellin in fourth. He is in that very, very colorful car as we go through this long sweeper. He's side by side, and Schnackle, that was Taylor Ballant again hard into the wall. That wheel is taking punishment here on the opening lap here at Coronado. And now everybody falling in line to the first real heavy braking zone at high speeds. And still everybody staying put here. Nice wrap of the wall there by Matt Malone as he continues to just charge up the field a little bit. He's already gained 1 spot. Taylor Ballant down 4 spots. Cam Porter, the 71 car, up 4 along with Charlie Hosey. Who else can we mention here? In the amateur division, well, Bell. And Bell is up there as well, up 2 spots right now in P7, trying to make it another spot by trying to get around Ballant. Here we go. This is a longer, faster section. That's what's one of the most unique things about this racetrack is that it has some very long, decently long straightaways and some good heavy braking zones to get the car slowed down and some for passing opportunities. But back up to our race leader as we ride on board. Look behind him a little bit. Luis Henriquez right now almost a second away from Jeff Schenkel and Andrew Bellin right now. And we got a traffic jam down here at what I think is turn number 1 or 2, excuse me. That's turn 2, I would assume. And everybody is just log jam up here, and multiple places being dropped by Charlie Hosey, David Moore, as they continue to drop down the order, and they finally get put straight and back on to the loud pedal. Absolute scenes there, and that was not turn number 2. Been nice to have my map there, Ron, but I think that was maybe turn 16 going in, maybe even, probably turn 16 if I had to guess. So I'm not as familiar with the layout of the circuit because there's only been one truly professional race, and that was when NASCAR was just here just about a month ago. So let's take a look and see what happened here.
Starts off with Frito. This is Santinelli.
Edgar Santinelli. Oh, he just takes the back of somebody, gets on the brakes hard, and then everybody else compiling in. Nowhere to go because those tire barriers really do stick out and narrows up that corner, and everybody having to navigate through. And that was, where was this going into, Ron?
I believe that incident was heading down into turn number 12, but this is the side-by-side battling heading all through the opening section. This, I believe, is into turn number 6. Giacchetti trying to reel it back to pit lane there, currently slotted in 11th. Saw him get a small little piece of the wall. He's actually picked up a meatball flag there in that machine. So gonna have to come down pit lane to get that serve, get that 101 car repaired, and now finds himself in the midst of a hornet's nest. Has Mark Cohn trying to get a move done on him side by side here in the fight for 12th. That's gonna send Giacchetti down into lucky spot P13, kind of fitting considering how his race has gone through to this point. Chuck Lobato now looking to lay on that pressure as thick as icing on top of a wedding cake. They're side by side as they head their way through. Giacchetti playing ball and letting Matt Thomsen go by there as well. Trying to figure out how Giacchetti picked up that damage, because even though these walls are rather brutal, it takes a pretty significant whack to find yourself with damage of that nature. So still trying to pin this down. It's like trying to pick up a 3-legged chicken.
And looking at our event screen that we have here, I don't really see anything. I will say that Charlie Hosey had jumped to the pits, so he's going to have a long time to wait before he will be back out there. And back out front, Luis Henriquez going through turn number 1 as we go down the hill. And you can see the suspension really having to do some work there as they go over the crest down into turn number 2. And again, that's where we see a lot of cars actually getting some air in these race cars. And I don't know if you're like me, Ron. I like all 4 tires on the ground.
Yeah, no, that's a pretty good rule with me as well. As somebody who didn't learn how to ride a bike until he was about 9 years old, I always preferred having 4 wheels on the ground at all times. Never really a fan of 2. I also have the coordination of a blind roly-poly berth in the vat of nuclear waste, so that definitely adds into it there as well. But I'm a fan of having 4 wheels on my wagon, 4 wheels on the ground. Don't want to have any up off the deck here. Is looking to move. Jeff Schnackle looking to take a bite of Henriquez.
Schnackle going down the inside. Can't make the move. Contact there. A little bit of bargy action as we now go down what is a very narrow straightaway. If you're going to make the move, you've got to commit to it. And that is not going to happen as we look with Andrew Belling watching this fight for the lead. He's hoping that these two collide together and he can take the race lead. Schnackle gets a little bit of rubbing going on the walls, and everybody trying to make their way through here. What is a very tight section from turn 7 all the way to turn 11. Then it finally starts to widen out here. And now we're going to go down into what is essentially turn number 12, down this little bit of a straightaway. Then it starts to curve up again. And that is again, this circuit was so unique. We've never really seen anything like this in the racing world. Besides, I would compare it to like a Nürburgring-esque style racetrack. Something that has a lot of curves, a lot of straightaways and everything. And thankfully, guess who has finally joined us? Champ Kind here, joining us in the broadcast booth. And Jeremy, you've missed the start of this one. Luis Henriquez out in front, the top 5 right now, driving away by over 4 seconds away from the rest of the field.
Well, if you're ever going to come here to Coronado, I have one tip for you. Take the darn ferry because the bridge is absolutely stacked and packed left and right. You got to pay for it, too. Either way, this is a fantastic battle that we're seeing here for the lead. And the one thing I love about Coronado is the fact, Adam, that there's the elevation. There's not much of it, but what elevation there is, it's a steep dip. And plus, railroad tracks.
Let's take a look and see what happened here to Cam Porter, the 71. Oh, got that rear end loose. Ooh. That's a big one. That car is definitely damaged. He has jumped to the pits. So Jeff Schnackle right now in second. Had to look for the race lead. Unfortunately, could not make the move stick. Luis Henriquez continues on leading here at Qualcomm Circuit. Andrew Belling, though, he is in a nice, comfortable position here. As long as he keeps pace here as we go down through turn number 8 into turn 9. And this is, again, something very interesting. Excuse me. This is turn 9. I'm still getting familiar with the circuit, Jeremy, because, again, we've only had one really, truly professional race on this racetrack, and that was NASCAR about a month ago. So to get kind of used to this circuit it's very unique in its own right, as now we're watching Henriquez come through turn number 12 here. And there has been loads of cars that have obviously bit the bullet here tonight. Cam Porter being one of them, John Casey, Jeff Besnard, Merle Eichmann, and Charlie Posey, who are all a lap down or more. So it's a race of attrition here, Jeremy, and it's all going to be about keeping your car pointed straight without any damage.
And that's going to be easier said than done, especially with these spec cars. As you see, Matt Malone, oh boy, that's a little bit of danger right there. I'm sure he's streaming that. So, hi, Matt, as they work their way onto the pit straight. And by the way, one thing that I think we're going to appreciate more about this race than we would in the real race, how many times did we have a stoppage in action because the stock cars and stock trucks were moving the walls? We're not going to see that too much. It's just going to be a lot of bouncing Mustangs off each other.
Yes, indeed. We're riding on board here with Matt Malone here in his first race of this season here at the American Muscle Series. He's trying to eye up a move on Neil Kemp. First off, he qualified 6th. He's been able to keep the pace. And just to tell everybody where he's at, he actually has the fastest lap time at 2:23.143. His last lap time at 2:24.176. And he is hounding Neil Kemp right now. And again, you can just see the bumps in these cars. They're not very bump friendly. Let's just say that much. The suspension doing overtime here at Qualcomm. And Matt Malone right now, I bet he's enjoying this race though. This is the kind of race that he can strive in and be able to navigate the attrition and keep that car pointed forward. Now, I've always been one to say in promos for this series, like if you want to see Matt Malone maybe crash a Ford Mustang, come watch the American Muscle Series, but I don't think we're going to see much of that from him tonight.
No, just a little bit of rubbing walls left and right, but I don't know, Adam, did you ever see these FR500s in action when they were running the old Mustang Challenge?
I did not know.
A lot of the series that I would either commentate or work with would have these guys as support, and they would always put on fantastic shows. That's Chuck Lobato. That's a hit in the wall right there for Lobato, as he's got to hold off of Brandon Smith there for position, and that's going to be out of class position, and that's a shortcut. So Lobato's going to have to give up that position here shortly, as he's going to have that slowdown penalty, as you see there, the yellow card. But yeah, these cars basically, if I remember correctly, they didn't do much of the suspension. They made the engine a race engine. Obviously, you threw the roll cage in it, but for the most part, you could order one of these cars off the showroom floor as the 500 RS.
Yeah. Bono, he's not slowing down. He's going to have to get this penalty cleared very soon, or that's going to be a hefty drive-through, and he eventually does. Luckily, those complex corners, you can really slow up and not really worry about the guy passing you, because it's very difficult to get a run out of there. And Lobano right now, you can see that car has seen better days. Here goes Matt Malone. He's going for the fifth spot, excuse me. No, he's going for 4th. I am confusing my own self here, Ron Burgundy. How dare you? But Malone,
You didn't work with Ron today, did you? I'm so sorry if you did, because that probably explains everything.
Yeah, no, Ron Burgundy is our producer tonight, and folks, and we got Champ Kindon here, so we got the whole Anchorman crew in the house helping me out with this broadcast, and obviously Ron Maunz somehow or another decided that he wasn't going to talk so nice about the World Cup in Philly, and so we've had to ban him from the night, and we just see 2 body slams. Dang. These cars are going to see better days here. There's going to be a lot of buffering work going to be done after this one here, Jeremy.
Well, they can easily go down to Tijuana with no problems after that, but I've got to ask this, was Santa Claus at the World Cup? Because that's probably why he wasn't talking good about it.
Probably, honestly. I think he was more mad that the fact that the finals were up in New York City and not in the city of quote-unquote brotherly love, for whatever that is worth in Philadelphia. And Matt Malone with a problem. Almost bites that into the wall, saves it, but lost the position that he worked so hard to gain. And now he is going to have to work for it all back. He's 1.6 seconds back. That is unfortunate there for the driver in the 83 car.
Yeah, probably had some sort of south side pothole right there, but a little bit of a wiggle there and just some, he saved it from going into the wall. Either that or he had some net code there for the wall. By the way, the last thing I will say about the World Cup is it's probably a good thing that the Argentinians weren't in Philadelphia, because I think they'd give Philly a run for their money, to say the least. Malone's in the pits.
Malone is in the pits. He thinks he probably some damage to his tires a little bit, because he probably flat spotted. He locked up the brakes for sure. Didn't see much tire smoke though, but a lot of people are coming into the pits here. Good timing here, as we are now officially 15 minutes into this 40 lap run here. And again, tonight, pit stops are allowed. unlike last week at Mid-Ohio where there was no pit stops allowed. So Andy Bell, he is going to be a benefactor here. He's going to move up to P5 and continue on his merry way. And got to talk about some of the other divisions. Jeff Andrus now takes the lead here in the Challenger. Bell. I'm get confused because the way that our placard looks on our live timing, it turns green on our side, on our screens here. So it makes it look like he's part of the pro class, but no, he is part of the Challenger. So he leads the Challenger division right now. In the amateur division, we got Colin Olson right now in the lead. Has a few cars between him and Andy Kosick, who again earlier today stated to me that he is not going to be very comfortable running this racetrack, even though he qualified on the pole, was in the lead of the AM class at the beginning of this one here. But I can see what he's trying to do. He's like, I don't need to push it right now. Why push it when I could ruin my own race if I push it a little bit too much? And Colin Olson, he's got two guys behind him that might get a little aggressive. One of those guys, well, that's going to be Jay Bast, who unfortunately fortunately is up 12 positions. I was thinking of somebody else who had an incident earlier. So right now, things very calm on the racetrack, and never mind. And there goes a spin. And there goes Matthew Guzenda, who loses out on a couple of positions there. Just a little bit too much hard racing there. Let's take a look at what exactly happened here. So they're coming into the corner. Yep, both fighting for the same piece of tarmac. And unfortunately, that is the result of that. Jeremy, unfortunate there for Matthew Guzenda.
Kids, that's a commentator's curse in real time, as you got a little bit of argy-bargy there as Jeff Schenkel trying to do what he can to hold off Luis Hernandez, Henriquez, I should say. That's for the battle for the overall lead, as your pole sitter going to try and see if he can get back up to the point. You got Andrew Belling also involved in that one. He's the interested spectator sitting back there in the third place and working our way through the track. You saw a little bit of that ta-ta-ta as they are working their way headed towards turn number 8. A little bit of a long run. There's not much breathing room that you have here at Coronado. Wiggle, wiggle as Hernandez closes in almost to that back bumper of Schenkel. And as they work their way towards the Coronado chicane, it's still 1, 2, 3, Schenkel, Henriquez, and Belling. But Belling, he's really licking his chops to see if he can get into that second spot and maybe challenge Schenkel for the lead.
Now, getting a report now, Matt Malone has crashed, and he is back in the pits. Well, we can get a replay of what has happened to the driver of the 83 machine. What has happened here for Matt Malone? Oh, big slam, and he goes across the racetrack, totals the race car. His night is done.
Yep. That turn 1, it just seems to bite. You know, it's a very strange corner, and we saw how many times over the course of that NASCAR weekend that turn 1 would be absolutely difficult for the drivers, and it's a shame that it happened to Matt Malone, but looking at the list of drivers who are out of this race, it's a sizable list, to say the least.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, I didn't think we were going to see much Matt Malone crashing the vehicle. Well, that prediction was wrong, so I guess my promotions do work here, Jeremy, as we are on board here with Andrew Belling, and you can just see the bumps and everything about this circuit is, again, go down this hill into turn number 2, and the cars are getting air. I mean, this is like at the Nordschleife, and I can't remember the corner because there's too freaking many of those corners, but there's that one little straightaway you can get. If you hit it just right, you're in a Porsche 911, you're going airborne right there. So just like that, like the Nordschleife here at Qualcomm, well, there it is. So as we look on board here from the splitter of Jeff Andrus good looking view there of that downhill slope into turn number 2. But things really starting to spread out here. And I think this will be a perfect time to thank some sponsors. We'll start off, of course, with D-Nut Stuff. Jeremy, you've got the rig, the screens, and the passion. But when you're diving into the corkscrew at Laguna Seca, do your pedals feel like a world-class GT3 car or a toy?
Well, the toy, because they're made out of wood.
They're made out of wood. Well, it's time to upgrade your immersion with D-Nut Stuff. We specialize in high-performance sim racing mods designed to give you the trail-breaking precision and throttle control you've been missing. From our legendary DNX and HVD pedal kits to custom spacers and clutch mods, we build gear for racers who demand more than stock. Whether you're a casual Sunday driver or a daily iRacing grinder, our kits for Fanatec Simpson Huskenfeld pedals are engineered to help you find those extra tenths of a second. Stop settling for good enough and start hitting your marks with total confidence. D-Nut Stuff, sim racing gear, serious mods for serious racers. Visit dnutstuff.com and dial in your rig today. And thank you to D-Nut Stuff for sponsoring today's broadcast. Well, there we go. Got one of the 2 reads we got to get done out of the way here. And of course, we want to give a shout out to the Joy of Driving, who is also sponsoring the race here at the Naval Base Coronado. And of course, let's check in with our sponsor, Mark Cohn, who's currently sitting 20th on the racetrack. There he is, running a tribute to Kyle Busch scheme this season. He got very emotional, I thought, last week, Jeremy, about just his passion and his fandom for who was a great racer who unfortunately didn't get the races track.
No, and I think Kyle Busch would have done a great job here at Coronado. But, the passion that some of these fans have for Kyle Busch is second to none. Almost reminds me of the late, great Dale Earnhardt as well. But Cohn, with the win last time out at Mid-Ohio, I did chat with him a little bit, and he's a little leery about how this circuit was going to play out, especially with him being the sponsor, as now you see Jay Bass with a meatball, Michael Brennan with a meatball. So a couple of cars already having some issues as we pass the halfway point in this 40-minute race. But back to Cohn, he was apprehensive about this facility to see what he could do. Right now sitting 5th in class. Okay, not too bad, but it's almost everybody's first time out. Of course, extra props for him. He's got the Sim Gaming Expo decals on the side of there, which if you haven't thought about going, I would recommend it, to say the least. I'm not saying it because, it might put more money in my pocket. It won't. But it was a fun time last year, and I think it's going to be even better this year.
For sure. Definitely check that out, as the AMS series will be doing a showcase race there, Jeremy.
Yeah, hopefully I can get myself on the mic. We'll see, though, what happens with that. I know I'm actually going to be calling not only the challenge race, which you can, if you want to run in the challenge race, you can qualify yourself for time trials on the iRacing platform. It's Porsches at Road America, so just think about that. And that could put you into a qualifying race with 100 other drivers when we take 40 or 45 with us to Schaumburg. I got to remember that number, but there's that. And also, I'll be calling a race for a local sim gaming shop that's not too far from me. The grand prize, Adam, is a brand spanking new Toyota Supra.
Wow. First off, do we want to trust sim racers with a brand new Toyota Supra? No,
that's why I think
that seems like a bad idea.
That's a horrible idea. So I think they're just going to give it to the voice of the series as a payment, which I'm okay paying taxes on that. It's the insurance I'm not okay on.
I wouldn't trust you to drive a brand new Toyota Supra either.
Damn it.
But talking about some other drivers here, our hard charger, who unfortunately has a meatball flag right now, is Jay Bast, up 16 spots. And there he is. Yeah, you can see one tire does not look good. That is on the right side of that race car, and unfortunately, he's going to have to come in, get that repaired. Sad day for Jay Bass, as he's been having to make his way through the field here tonight, so he's going to lose all those positions, which means we're going to have to look for a brand new hard charger here, and that is going to go the way of Tom Wendt, up 12 positions. So Tom Wendt in the Challenger division, up 12 spots. Looking to gain some more, though. And Andy Kosick, by the way, who won the AM class last week, well, he's up to 11th overall, leading the amateur class, and has a lot of cars between. Excuse me, Tom Wendt is did I say Challenger? He's an AM driver. We got to get a better system that actually shows me when we're on a car whether they're AM or not. But Tom Wendt farther down the order in the AM class right now, as Andy Kosick up 10 spots right now. And something that I have learned, Jeremy, is that in these other divisions, if you have more cars in between you and another driver in your class, the more points you get. So that's a huge thing. So for Andy Kosick right now, who sits third in the championship standings. He's got a lot of cars between him and Tom Wendt, so he'll be very, very happy about this. As now Jeff Schnackle will come into the pits here from the race lead. And well as Andrew Bellin and Andy Bell. What's going on?
Let's keep an eye on this, Ron, because Adam, if there's only something here on the car, on the eyebrow, on the wing, that would tell us what class of car these cars are, it puzzles me.
I'm looking at numbers. I'm looking at the car as a whole. All right, they're moving fast. All right, there's guys. So I have a funny story about this. So there's a driver who comes out to my dirt racetrack that I am also an announcer with. And he brings 3 cars with him, and he drives his normal race car. And then he has his 2 other ones that are his backups that have the number 9 on them. Now, for those of you who are amongst the dirt track world, and maybe even television world, you might recognize the name of Joel McGee, a.k.a. the Toy Scout. If you've watched Pawn Stars, you can definitely see him on Pawn Stars. He's a toy collector of retro toys, vintage toys, stuff like that. And that whole adventure funded his racing program. Well, he likes to bring out those other 2 cars and other guys to drive them. And he's like, by the way, I'm driving the blue wheel rim car. This guy's driving the chrome red wheel rims, and this guy's driving the orange. Well, where my booth is, this is a half-mile racetrack. It's a very large racetrack. And when they're coming at me at 90 miles an hour, and I'm in a tower that is very high up in the air, you think I'm going to be able to see the wheel rims coming at me at 90 miles an hour at the front straight? I can barely see the back straight from where I sit. And this guy, and they all have the number 9 on them. I get so confused sometimes, because sometimes they'll start together in a pack. And I'm just like, who is who? Like, it takes me a minute. I have to wait for our live timing system to actually tell me who is where before I even start talking about these drivers. As now Luis Henriquez and Neil Kemp come into the pits here from the race lead. Jeff Andrus right now, who is leading in the Challenger division, sits third. I wonder if he's going to come into the pits, or are we going to get a overall leader in the Challenger division for at least a lap here? That's going to be very interesting to see what happens. He's 0.3 miles away. Is he going to go into the pits? Yes, he is. So he's not going to take the overall lead here once again. And here comes Jeff Schnackle. Let's see, can he get it done? Does Henriquez get a better pit stop? Possibly. He is out of the pits. This is going to be close. And Schnackle will take the lead back. And Bellin will jump Luis Henriquez here. And what a great series of events there for Andrew Bellin. He now sees himself in second and battling for the race lead, just over a half a second away from the back bumper of Schnackle.
I would kill to be able to see different rim colors. And as Ron can attest to this, at a go-kart track, you've got to be able to try and find a helmet design. Good luck with that. It took me almost all of my first weekend in the series that I normally do on the weekends. There were, so I was in one of the kid kart classes. There was a pair of brothers, and they both had white helmets, black fire suits, same color kart. I'm like, how the bleep am I going to be able to tell them apart? One had a blue visor on, one had an orange visor on. Perfect, I was in heaven.
See, that doesn't work in the dirt track world.
Oh, I know, but I'm just saying, you got to pick and choose how you go through that. Maybe have the owner do like a different something on the A pillar, like a different color on the A pillar. That might work.
I know. I told him, I said something like on the top of your passenger window that actually can be noticeable, because we can't really see when they're going that fast. Again, a half-mile racetrack, dirt racetrack. These hobby stocks, and he drives a hobby stock, and they're pretty fast on a half mile. And the worst part is, one of the rules in dirt track racing is that nobody can have the same number, but you can add a letter. So these guys have 9X and then X9. Well, I can't even see that because they use the smallest piece of tape that they could find in the trailer. So I'm like, is that X9 or 9X? I can't tell. So, yeah. So I keep talking to them, keep trying to convince them. They drive all the way from Sioux City, Iowa, which I appreciate them coming over here. And it's always good to see drivers from around the country come to my local area and race on what is a beautiful racetrack. Very fun to do. And here we go, folks. The battle for the race lead's getting even closer and closer. Not enough, though, for a move to happen. And just over 0.3 of a second separating our race leader. So, as Ron Burgundy has posted a picture of himself in our little broadcast chat, of him in a go-kart, and is that a cone that he hit? Yes, it is.
Yeah, he hit a cone and two. He claims he's driving around it, but really, in all reality, he hit it. He murdered that cone. He murdered. That cone had a family, Ron.
Ron Burgundy, folks. Ron Burgundy. What can we do about him? Oh, we have a crash somewhere, because there is a piece of debris on the racetrack. What has happened there? What? There was a piece of the front bumper of somebody's car in front of the leaders that was laying on the racetrack. I'm kind of curious to know who that was.
Adam, there's one.
Hood.
I was gonna say there's one way to talk about it. The front fell off.
All right.
Have you never seen that video? I'll take that as a no. Okay, I've got to show you guys. Anyway, carry on is right now. Schnackle is about a half second ahead of Belling. Belling tried a couple of passes there for position, Adam, but I think Schnackle is pretty good here in the second sector.
Yeah, he's been very confident through here and getting very good launches off a corner exit, and I think that's our culprit right there in front of the race leaders, right there, of who lost their front end. And we'll have to see if we can catch up to them. But I am getting reports now. David Jansen, Edgar Santinelli have all crashed. And I'm curious to see how Edgar crashed, because there's two markers of him here as we look at the 134 of Dave Jansen. And he just lost it. That's all right. That's a harmless spin on a racetrack like this. He'll be happy. Oh, my Lord. What has happened to Edgar Santinelli? Oh,
he left the cars and coffee. That's what happened.
That car is... In the IT world, we say that car is brick. And
yeah, that's... Yeah, wow.
Yeah, that is huge damage. Can we get I wonder what happened here. Okay, so he's got all four tires there. Locked up the brakes, a little bit of a wiggle. Gets out wide. Still good. Still good. What did you do, Edgar? What did you do? Okay, he's fine through
No.
here.
Yeah.
No. Okay. Okay.
We've got time. I'm not
See.
worried about it.
Yeah, we got plenty of time.
I bet
You're
you
not
turn
missing
one's the
anything.
culprit.
Yeah, I'm turn 1 or down the hill to turn 2. Let's see. Because that would be very unfortunate if it was down in turn, going to turn 2.
Yeah.
Gets over the bumps.
Yeah.
Okay, he's fine. All right, so, and that's
Okay,
where
so-
he's, so somewhere between that point and this point, something has happened to Edgar Sanchinelli. Ron Burgundy, God bless America. Okay, here we go.
Well, let's follow him around for the rest of this lap.
Yeah, let's just see what happens because he's fine here.
Did he end up on the warship? No, he didn't.
No,
Okay,
good
he's
here.
fine there. So he's set up for the right-hander, turn 4, and now you go through carrier, hit down carry corner.
He's fine. What has happened? What happened here? Oh, there he goes.
Oh. So there's where the front fell off.
Then how his tire come off? Because he still had all 4 tires.
It's a Ford. It's a feature, not a bug.
True. And you don't have to pay extra for it.
Exactly. As a former Ranger owner, granted, that thing could have outlasted me. Yeah, it had problems.
It had problems, as our producer Ron Burgundy says. Yes, I do have problems. We knew this. That is not a shock to our viewing audience. So Jeff Schnackle right now still defending the race lead from Andrew Bellin. Doing a great job, though. I mean, he has not made much of a mistake. And look at that. Taylor Ballant is going to the pits. What has happened to Taylor Ballant here? And, what was he thinking? What was he thinking there? He just pulled a Kyle Larson.
That, yeah, no, you don't want to hit those attenuators because that is, that's just bad news. So, yeah, end of the day for Taylor Ballant. What a shame. As we go back to this battle for the lead, they'll come down and get the white flag this next time by Jeff Schnankel and Andrew Belling. Henriquez right back there in that popcorn position as they work their way through. I wish I knew where we were right now. Okay, so we are getting towards the Coronado chicane. That is a Coronado chicane right there, I should say. Yeah. So set up for 9 and 10. See, I'm getting better at this. This is great. This is wonderful.
You know what I would love if our producer would do? Exactly what he just did. Keep that map up, please.
Well, here's the thing. Some of us have a map on our iPads that are showing the track map, and you can reference it.
Yes, that's what I'm doing right now. My head is on a swivel right now, folks, in case you were wondering. And
oh, that's every race.
Yeah, so Jeff Schnackle is currently leading. He has been very comfortable. He muscled his way to the lead, getting past Luis Henriquez, and then kept out in front after the pit cycle as we are getting to our white flag here. This lap here, this is going to get interesting. So the white flag comes out this time as we are now 39 minutes into this one. And what could be a very interesting final lap. And Schnackle, who unfortunately has had 2 just unfortunately bad races, he needed to get his season turned around in this one as we are a quarter way through the season. And this time it looks like it might even happen. Knock on wood, because I have been prone to commentators' curses tonight. And Jeff Schnackle out in front. Andrew Belling doing everything he can to try and get in front of the car in the 23. You can just see everybody right now behind him. No chance to get out front. This is the battle for the lead. with Andrew Bellin in the 24, Jeff Schnankel in the number 23. And we got 2.5 minutes around this race circuit for Andrew Bellin to make the move. And he's gotten closer. He's been sitting behind Schnankel for a long time, learning where he is faster, and can't make the move quite yet. The next best spot to make the move is going to probably be here into turn 8 in technically a chicane. Not going to get it done, but gets a wider entry into the corner. But this time, trying to make the run. He can't quite get there. Through turn number 9 into turn 10, which is very tight. Still far, just not close enough. Schnankel right now. Schnankel doing everything he can. Getting that car calmed down. Keeping it off the walls. And this has been a race of attrition here tonight. And Jeremy, we're coming through down into turn 13. Time's running out.
Yeah, the sands in the hourglass are falling on the bottom, and if I'm Belling, you know, you've only got one good opportunity to throw the kitchen sink, and that's the chicane coming up, and I don't think it's going to be enough. He's going to have a soft break to make something happen, but this is going to be all Schnankel all the time as he keeps it going through the chicane.
Off of turn number 15 as they head down towards the final corner, Jeff Schnankel will take the win here at Naval Base Coronado. What a drive by Schnankel. He really needed that tonight. Andrew Bellin, good, strong second place finish. He'll be disappointed, though, that he didn't get the win here. Same with Luis Henriquez. He led a good portion of this race. Neil Kemp comes home to 4th. Andy Bell, who is our Challenger division leader right now, will finish off with a top 5 overall finish in front of 2 pro drivers of David Finch and Chuck Labano. Mark Cohn and the joy of driving paint scheme, well, he comes through turn 16. He'll come across the line, and he will finish in the top 10 along with Brandon Smith. Now, Andy Kosick right now, looking for back-to-back wins in the AM class. That would be a huge way to start this season in the first quarter of it, at least. Getting 2 back-to-back wins. He's not going to collect as many points as he was probably hoping for, but he'll take the win in the class as he is coming through turns 14 and 15 now. And what a drive here from Andy Kosick, up 5 spots here tonight in the AM class, qualified 21st. And he will come out into turn number 16 here. And what in the Chiba Hut car, and we'll thank Chiba Hut here in just a moment. Andy Kosick finishes in 16th overall, first in class. So that is much of the class winners here, as some are coming across the line. Our hard charger tonight, Jeremy, and Aaron Bray up 15 spots here in what has been a race of attrition, and there he is. That car looks pretty dang clean for being the hard charger tonight.
Not a scratch out of place, and yeah, that look 163 looks quite nice so far as Dave Jansen comes across the line. A couple more cars to go, and they're going to be coming really close to one another. Gazenda and Chichetti. Haven't talked much about them, but it's just been one of those races, and it's no surprise that this has been a race of attrition, Adam, because of the simple fact of, you know, it's a newer track for everybody. So, is that Gazenda trying to save that car from going? That left front is more of a right front at this point.
And that's Chichetti right there. So, okay. Yep. Now we can destroy the Ford Mustangs. That's absolutely fine. But that is it. 40 minutes around Naval Base Coronado, all said and done here. And what a entertaining race there. Got a little bit stretched out there towards the end, but the battle for the race lead continued on, and it finished with Andrew Bellin finishing behind Jeff Schnankel, 2/10, almost 3/10 behind the winner here tonight. As Schnankel will go ahead and burn it down here at Qualcomm Circuit. And let's go ahead. We got one more sponsor to thank here before we show you the final results, and that is Chiba Hut. Look, we've all been there. You're staring at a menu of sad, cold corporate sandwiches and thinking, there's got to be something better than this. At Chiba Hut, we've been flipping the bird to the status quo since 1998. We're not just making sandwiches, we're curing the munchies with the dankest toasted subs on the planet. From our signature White Widow to the Kali Mist, every sub is homegrown, toasted to perfection, and served up in a joint where you can actually relax. Need to kill that cottonmouth? We got local craft beers on tap and plenty of Kool-Aid to keep you hydrated. Whether you're stopping in or we're flying it to your door, we've got exactly what you need to stay stoked. Chiba Hut Toasted Subs. Swing by our shop in your area or order online. Chiba Hut, toasted since 98. Thank you, Chiba Hut, for sponsoring tonight's broadcast. Oh, and we get a nice, beautiful aerial view of Qualcomm Circuit here. And let's take a look at our final results. Jeff Shackle will get the win here tonight and gets his first win of the season. Andrew Bellin in second, Luis Henriquez in third, Neil Kemp in fourth. Andy Bell tonight gets his first win in the Challenger division with David Finch. And sixth and seventh goes to Chuck Labano. Mark Cohn in the Joy of Driving paint scheme finishes in the 8th spot. And then Brandon Smith finishes 9th. And rounding out the top 10 is Jeff Andrus. David Moore, Matt Thomsen, Brian Kennedy, Zach Miller, and Mike Nickum make up the top 15. Andy Kosick, winner of the AM division tonight, finishes 16th overall. Colin Olson in 17th. Aaron Bray in 18th. Tom Wendt finishes 19th. David Jansen in 20th. Matthew Gazenda finishes 21st. Joe Cicchetti in 22nd. Brandon Carl in 23rd. Jay Bass. Taylor Ballant, unfortunately for Ballant there, finishes in 25th tonight, 2 laps down. Jeremy, take us home.
With Michael Brennan, Edgar Sanchinelli 5 laps down, Freddie Weaver 7 laps down, same with Jeff Bisnard, Matt Malone out of the race, as well as Cam Porter, Scott Brooks, Merle Eichmann, John Casey, and Charlie Hosey.
That is your running order there and your finishing order here tonight from Qualcomm. Folks, we get to talk to some drivers. We're going to talk with Jeff Schnackle here. Jeff Schnackle, our race winner overall tonight. And Jeff, you finally get the win. After a couple of rough weeks, you get to the checkered flag first. How does that feel?
Yeah, it feels awesome to be back. The top step of the podium here. Super technical track. Was super difficult just to stay consistent for the whole 40 minutes. But luckily, through the tail taps and everything else, we were able to pull out victorious here.
Yeah, the start of your race tonight did not get off to the greatest, as you were scraping the wall and just felt like the car just wasn't going in your favor, but you kept the faith and you got right back up there and you were battling with Luis Henriquez and finally muscled your way around, and then pit strategy was also in your favor tonight. Just talk about, just from your vision, on how well this race was tonight, because it was a race of attrition.
Oh, I think it was an awesome race. I honestly love the naval base here. It's a lot of heavy braking zones, a lot of sneaky opportunities to stick your nose in, maybe scare the guy in front of you. But I think it was an awesome race. I'll have to watch the replay and the broadcast back. But yeah, it sounds like there was a lot of wall taps that were significantly heavier than mine out there. But I loved it. It was an awesome race.
And of course, with this being the first win of the season, just the last couple of weeks just hasn't gone your way. Of course, we go back to Sandown, leading there, and then unfortunately had a spin that sent you to the back.
Yeah, just got to try to keep this momentum going. Super unfortunate at Sandown. Just tapped the outside wall and broke something under the suspension and had absolutely no shot there. So focus on keeping the nose clean here the next few weeks, keep this momentum up, and see if we can't find ourselves in the winner's circle again here.
And then, of course, our next race coming up is Russ Kogan, 40-minute pit stop. That's got to be fairly nice to have a pit stop at least halfway through the race.
Yeah, the stops kind of honestly help kind of re-level yourself a little bit, give the tires a chance to chill out from the 25-30 minutes of abuse they just took. So yeah, no, I love the pit stop format. It seems to suit me rather well enough that I've kind of figured it out.
Well, congratulations on your win. Anybody you want to thank?
Yeah, shout out to my wife for letting me do this every week, and then shout out to my dog here. I've got my co-pilot next to me in his dog bed. He was definitely coaching me throughout the race today to help me guide me to the win here. So, and appreciate you guys for tossing on an awesome broadcast every week.
Well, congratulations, Jeff, and we'll see you next Tuesday.
Thanks, guys. Have a great night.
Jeff Schnackle, our overall winner tonight. Let's bring in Andy Bell now. Andy Bell, winner of the Challenger division here tonight. Andy, it's got to feel good to get your first win in the Challenger division.
It sure does. I wasn't expecting any wins this season, and so yeah, moving up to Challenger and taking a first place win. I that was probably the best race of my entire career. That was really, really fun.
Well, and you ran in the top 5 tonight, and unfortunately you come home to 9th, but still a top 10 overall finish. That's got to feel even better besides winning here.
Yeah, exactly. And fortunately, I really wasn't dealing with any traffic, and so that helped. But as we all know, this is a race against the track here, and I was on another level during the race today. It was, I could barely keep it on track during practice, and here we are in the race, and everything was coming together. It was just amazing.
Just talk about the just keeping the car clean tonight, because that was really kind of the big thing, was keeping the car off the wall.
I had my pit crew queued up to replace the suspension. I figured I would need that, but fortunately I did not. It's so easy with the bumps to make any type of mistake and brush the wall. And the more I practiced, I found that occasionally I would brush the wall without damaging the car. And sure enough, during the race, there were a few of those. But I also, I certainly was still making mistakes and saving every one of them. Like I said, I felt like I was on another level and really in tune with the track, in tune with the car. And I guess that practice paid off. But it was really fortunate to keep the car clean and handle all those bumps. And boy, and the time flew by. It was over before I knew it.
Next week, Rudskogen, our next track on the schedule. Any expectations for next week?
Oh, never any expectations other than a good time. And I'll be looking forward to racing again with all the guys. And I'll move on to shout outs briefly here. Just had a lot of fun practicing this week. Joe and Chuck and Andy and Colin and all the guys. There was a lot of people practicing for this track. It's a tough one, and a lot of camaraderie and a lot of fun. And obviously, great league, great car to do this in, and ton of fun. Thanks to everyone who makes it happen and puts it together.
Well, congratulations, Andy, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks.
Andy Bell, our winner in the Challenger class. And for back-to-back weeks, we talked to Andy Kosick, winner of the AM division here tonight. Andy, you told me prior to coming into this one, you were not feeling quite comfortable with this racetrack, but you come home with the class win.
Well, I put a lot of laps in to prep for this. I still hate this track, but at least I was prepared. Normally, I'm finishing about a second and a minute behind the leaders, so that's about a minute. I ended up about a minute and a half behind him this time, so clearly I did not have the pace and the commitment level that some of the leaders did, but it was good enough. Hopefully you caught it. Colin and I gave you a little bit of a show, maybe not the best driving, but we swapped the lead several times there during the race, so we had some fun there for a while.
Well, tonight you're the only person that we are interviewing that is a repeat winner. So that's got to feel good to know that you got 2 big wins. You're coming into tonight sitting 3rd in the standings. and just getting a little bit more points tonight. And maybe not as many as you were probably hoping for at one point in the race. There was probably about 5 cars between you and Colin.
Yeah, he really got a good run at the beginning. I was surprised he caught me so soon. My start and cold tire game just wasn't as good as his. But overall, I'm happy with it. After the first week was just really bad, and so to be able to come back and win the class 2 times in a row is just pretty amazing. I'm super happy with it. Also, I was going after the prize of 0 incidents, but the other 15 cars ahead of me also all had 0 incidents in this race.
Oh, darn. Well, at least you can be a part of the club that kept your car completely clean tonight in what was a race of attrition. Next week, Rudskogen, and that is a 40-minute race with a pit stop again. And what do you have lined up for us next week? Are we going to see you a third time?
I've raced this track before, but I think that the other guys are going to have a lot of familiarity with it, so probably more than I do. So there's going to be a challenge. All I can do is prep as best I can and see where the chips lie.
Well, congratulations, Andy. Anybody you would like to thank?
Sure. Like to thank the guys that are running the league for keeping this thing going, and also like to thank my old man for tuning in every week.
Well, congratulations, Andy, and we will see you next week.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Andy Kosick, our AM class winner. So, Jeremy, how do we describe this one?
Chaos, calamity, mess, but you know what? It was a lot of fun, and I think that the more that these racers run here at, almost said Sebring, at Coronado, I think that this is going to be a fan favorite, but, in the meantime, I'm glad that we were able to run here, and I think it's only going to get better from here.
Well, I think it's going to be a good race next week. I think a lot of guys are going to be pretty happy to not have to deal with this racetrack for the rest of the season. And you folks at home, I hope you all enjoyed the broadcast. We had a good time here as well. And let's take a look at what is coming up here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. Of course, here later on tonight, you can catch the Sim Racers Group F4. And that is going to be coming up here in about 10 minutes time. So keep an eye out on that one. That's why you got to like and subscribe here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. Tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern, street nights racing around Long Beach. And then the SRG F3 fixed race around the Hungara Ring. And then the Ray Esports Summer Series on Sunday, July 26th at 3:30 p.m. So catch that as well. And then the Ray Esports Series around Olton Park next Tuesday at 3:30 p.m. Eastern. And then we're back here for Rudskogen with the American Muscle Series, our flagship show here at Slow Motion Broadcasting. So that is your week outlook coming up here on Slow Motion Broadcasting, which means, folks, at home, what you got to do, you got to click on that subscribe button, that big old subscribe white button down right below this video. Hit that notification bell, like this video, share it out, tell your friends, tell your grandmother, tell your great-grandmother to watch us here at Slow Motion Broadcasting. Well, thank you, Champ Kine. Thank you, Ron Burgundy, for your help tonight. And hopefully Ron Maunz will be back with us next week after he gets out of jail for crimes against humanity. My name is Adam Thomsen. For Jeremy Scott, Champ Kine, and Ron Burgundy, we will say good night, San Diego.